Hello everyone. Chapter 2 of your music theory book, Grade 1 Music Theory, is bar lines and time signatures. And this is quite a confusing topic, so if you get the hang of this, you're doing really well. As it says at the top here, time signatures contain two numbers, and you've got 2 over 4, or 3 over 4, or 4 over 4, etc. And we just say 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4. And those are the only 3 time signatures you are going to need to worry about in Grade 1. Okay. As it says there, the top number shows the number of beats in a bar. So 2 beats in a bar, or 3 beats in a bar, or 4 beats in a bar. And the bottom number shows the kind of beats in a bar. And we'll come on to that in a minute. First of all, what's a bar? Well, in music, it's divided up with these vertical lines called bar lines. And that essentially just helps you to keep track of where you are. And if you're rehearsing with other people, you can kind of say, well, let's go from bar 15 or whatever. It just means that it's not one massive string of notes with no reference point at all. So here at the beginning of our piece of music, we've got a time signature, 2-4. The 2 tells you that there's 2 beats in a bar. That means it's going to be the kind of music that goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that's often a march that does that kind of thing. Let me see if I can find a march for you. Hold on. Right. Now, the bottom number, this 4, is like a code for crotchets. You can see that 4 and crotchet is orange there. The reason that 4 is code for crotchets is because a semibreve is our longest note. It lasts for 4 beats, and therefore 4 crotchets fit into our longest note. Slightly confusing, but for now just remember that 4 is code for crotchets. So 2-4 means 2 crotchets, 3-4 means 3 crotchets, 4-4 means 4 crotchets, and because 4 crotchets is the most common time signature, you can just do a little abbreviation, which is a C, common time. Right, that's the information given at the beginning. Okay, moving to the bottom of the page. This is quite easy, it gives you an example here. It says fill in the crotchets and complete the sentence. So it's done one for you. 2-4 is 2 crotchets, remembering that 4 is our code for crotchets. So they've written in 2 crotchets there, and 2-4 means 2 crotchet beats in a bar. So what people most often forget is to fill in the crotchets here, and make sure you do that as well as complete the sentence. Okay, the next page. Again, it's done some examples for you. I'm going to work my way down the left-hand side first. You'll see why in a minute. The 2 in 2-4 means 2 beats. So hopefully you can work out that the 3 in 3-4 means, I'll let you fill that in. But here it puts it in a slightly different way. It says the top number in 4-4 means, now it says the top number because they're both 4s. So if it said the 4 in 4-4 means, that wouldn't make any sense, or you wouldn't know which one it was referring to. But essentially it's the same question as this. The 2 in 2-4 means that, the 3 in 3-4 means that, the top number in 4-4 means that. Okay, coming around the other side then, remember that we said the 4 on the bottom means crotchets. So the 4 in 2-4 means crotchet beats. Therefore the 4 in 3-4 means, hopefully you can work it out, and the bottom number in 4-4 means the same thing. Okay, so again it's saying the bottom number because it couldn't say the 4, but it's just asking the same question really. 2-4, 3-4 and 4-4 are called, people often can't work this out, I'm just going to move my camera and do a little point to that, give you a clue. And then 4-4 can also be written as, and again there was something over here which told you that, so have a look back if you're stuck. Okay, complete the time signature. This is where the maths comes in again. Music and maths has an awful lot in common. So if you like maths, you're fine. If you don't, not so much. Okay, so remember that our time signature tells us how many crotchets in a bar. We know it's crotchets because we've got this 4, so it's saying how many crotchets are in a bar. So here we've got 1 crotchet, and 1 crotchet. My light's shining right on that pencil and you can't see it. I have written a 1 underneath both of those crotchets, honestly. So in that bar, we've got 1 plus 1 crotchet, which equals 2 crotchets. That's the end of our bar because the bar line is there. Now, just to check that there really are 2 crotchets in every bar, we'll look at this. This is a minim, and we know that a minim is worth 2 crotchets, or 2 beats. Okay, so there are indeed 2 beats in every bar, 2 crotchet beats, and that's why the time signature has to be 2 over 4. So that will help you do the rest of those. Now then, there's one extra little trick at the bottom of the page here. So here you're adding the whole time signature. So not only are you putting in the top number, but you're also putting in the bottom number. Now your only choices are 2/4 or 3/4 or 4/4. 2 crotchets or 3 crotchets or 4 crotchets. Note you don't have to put a line in the middle like a fraction. A lot of people do, but when you're writing it on a piece of music there are lines there anyway, so you don't need to. Okay, so let's have a look at this first one. 1, 2, 3, and then a bar line. So I'm guessing my time signature is 3 crotchets. Okay, just to check, we've got 1 and a 2 there. 1 plus 2 is 3. So yeah, 3 crotchets in a bar. Now just to come down to I here, because they don't explain this and it's a bit annoying that they don't. This looks like 2 crotchets joined together. In fact it's not, it's 2 quavers. I'm just going to move my book up a little bit so I can get my hand in front of this tripod. Remember that a quaver is worth half a beat. It's coloured in with a stem and a tail. Okay, I'm going to put another one over there. Now, if you imagine that there were loads of those little curly tails flying around all over the music, it could start to get messy. So what you do when you've got a group of quavers, 2 or 4, is instead of putting the tails on, you almost take the tails and join them up over the top there. And that join is called a beam. You don't need to remember that. Okay, but that means that that note is worth 1. These 2 are each worth a half because they're both quavers. And then that's 1 and that's 1. That means that those 2 half beats together are worth 1. So altogether in that bar we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 crotchets. Okay, and in this bar same again, we've got 1, 2 and a 2, which makes 4 altogether. So our time signature, we could put 4/4 because it's 4 crotchets, or we could put the shorthand C. Okay. So I've just turned over onto page 8 and it says add 1 note at each asterisk. So our time signature 2/4, 2 crotchets. Okay, I've got 1 crotchet already. So I'm going to need another one there to make 2 in that bar. So I know that I just have to write a 1 beat note, a crotchet. There we go. This bar, a little bit more complicated. We've got 1 and our quaver, which is a half. So we've got 1 1/2 already. And we know that we need 2 altogether, so we need another half in this box. There we go. And feel free to write the numbers underneath. That's absolutely fine to work it out. It helps to keep track. Okay. Don't forget that when you've got quavers joined together, they've got this beam across the top, so that's 2 halves. And this one down here is 4 halves. Okay, so each of those notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, are worth a half each. Do make sure that you're only adding 1 note at each little grey square. That is a mistake I see a lot. People putting something like this, being quite adventurous. Okay, that's not 1 note, that's 2 notes. Okay, you just need 1 note there. Put cross through that. Okay. And the final exercise in this chapter, number 6, add the missing bar lines. So 2/4 again. They always seem to start with 2/4. Start you off gently. 2 crotchets. Okay. So we've got 1 crotchet and another crotchet. That makes 2 altogether, which is what we want for our time signature. So after 2 crotchets, we are going to put the bar line. And the bar line just goes from the top horizontal line to the bottom horizontal line. It doesn't sort of overlap. Then we've got a half and a half and 1, so that makes 2. So our bar line goes there. Then we've got 1 plus 1, which makes 2. Then we've got a half and a half, so all of that is 1, and that is 1. 1 plus 1 makes 2, bar line. 1 plus 1 makes 2, bar line. And then finally we've got a 2-beat note, a minim. You don't need to put another bar line at the end because there's already one for you. In fact, it's a double bar line, which means it's the end of the piece. So that is everything for chapter 2.